The alien general stood before an audience of countless species, his voice booming across the vast expanse of the Galactic Hall. He belonged to a warrior race known for their ruthlessness and sheer physical strength. His reputation, like his species, was built on conquest and brute force. The general sneered as he addressed the crowd, singling out humanity. He accused them of hiding behind diplomacy, alliances, and tactics that avoided direct combat. "You humans," he growled, "are cowards too weak to face real warriors. You hide in the shadows, sending drones, machines, and words to fight your battles. You lack the spine to engage in real conflict." The crowd murmured in agreement. The general's words echoed the sentiment of many alien species. In their eyes, humanity, though capable, had never faced its enemies head-on in the same brutal, physical manner that other races preferred. The human reliance on technology and strategic maneuvering was seen as a weakness, not a strength. The general scoffed at what he believed to be humanity's weakness, convinced that no human could ever match the raw strength of his warriors. What the general failed to understand, however, was that humanity's avoidance of brute force was a conscious choice, not a limitation. For centuries, humans had proven themselves to be one of the most cunning and adaptable species in the galaxy. Their victories were often won not through overwhelming numbers or strength, but through their ability to outthink and outmaneuver their enemies. Earth's leadership watched the general's tirade from the comfort of their council room. The leaders of humanity were not surprised by the general's challenge, nor were they provoked by his insults. They knew well the reputation they had earned among other species, and they were perfectly content with it. After all, humanity had never needed to prove its strength in ways that others expected. The real strength of humanity lay in its ability to strike where it was least expected, using its intelligence and resolve to achieve what brute force alone could not. When the general issued his challenge, demanding that humanity face him in open battle, there was no panic or alarm among Earth's leadership. Instead, there was a quiet, calculated decision. While many expected humanity to respond by sending an entire battalion, Earth's leaders chose a different path. Their response was simple. "We will send one soldier." This declaration sent ripples across the galaxy. Alien factions, accustomed to humanity's strategic prowess, were baffled. The idea of sending just one soldier against a seasoned general and his army seemed like madness. It was an open invitation to failure, they thought. But Earth's leaders remained calm and resolute. They knew the power that lay behind this decision. The alien general, upon hearing the response, erupted in laughter. "One soldier?" he bellowed. "They send one soldier to face me and my army? This is their final proof of cowardice!" He saw the decision as a mockery of his challenge and was eager to crush the human, believing it would be the final humiliation of Earth. Humanity's leadership, however, had something else in mind. Behind their calm exterior, they had chosen their soldier carefully. The human selected for the mission was not a super soldier, not some genetically engineered titan built for destruction. Instead, he was a man of sharp intellect, unmatched discipline, and a mind as deadly as any weapon. He had been trained not just in combat but in the art of strategy, psychological warfare, and adaptability, the very traits that had earned humanity its place among the stars. The soldier accepted the mission without fanfare. There was no need for bravado. His calm demeanor was in stark contrast to the alien general's arrogance. The soldier's experience was forged through years of rigorous training, missions that required more than strength, and battles where cunning outmatched any show of force. He understood the gravity of his mission but knew that this was not a contest of physical might. It was a test of wit, skill, and intelligence, qualities that had allowed humanity to thrive in a galaxy full of more physically powerful adversaries. As the alien general prepared for a spectacle, eagerly anticipating a quick victory, the human soldier made his final preparations. He knew that his task was not just to survive, but to prove once again what humanity had always known, that brute strength and overwhelming force were not the only paths to victory. Strategy, adaptability, and an unyielding will were far more powerful than the general or the galaxy could comprehend. The stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge not just the general's strength, but his entire understanding of warfare. The alien general, filled with confidence, awaited a physical showdown. But the human soldier knew the real battle would be won long before they ever came face to face. The alien general stands at the helm of his formidable army, his confidence unwavering. Before him lies the desolate battlefield, a barren wasteland serving as the arena for what he believes will be an effortless triumph. His soldiers, tall, armored behemoths, bristling with advanced weaponry, are the epitome of brute force. They exude power, their very presence designed to intimidate and crush any opposition. The general's arrogance is palpable, a reflection of his belief in his species' physical and technological superiority. At the far end of the battlefield, the human soldier arrives alone. His appearance is stark in contrast, a lone figure with minimal gear, a figure that seems insignificant against the backdrop of the alien army. He exudes a calm confidence, a stillness that betrays no fear. The vast arena is filled with the alien forces, their alien eyes watching, anticipating the swift end of this human interloper. But the soldier does not waver, his posture relaxed as he surveys the scene. The battle begins not with a clash of force, but with a shift in the atmosphere. The human soldier moves, not directly toward the enemy but around them, blending into the environment. The alien forces, expecting a head-on assault, are momentarily thrown off. The soldier is quick, disappearing into the shadows of the barren landscape, using it as a shield. The alien soldiers, programmed for direct confrontation, find themselves facing an enemy who won't play by their rules. Hit-and-run tactics begin to unfold. The human soldier, with uncanny precision, strikes at weak points, taking down soldiers with minimal effort before retreating back into cover. He avoids direct combat, knowing that to face these armored giants head-on would be futile. Instead, he uses their arrogance against them. The alien soldiers, bred for destruction, become increasingly frustrated as their targets keep slipping away. They strike out blindly, wasting energy and firepower on a foe they cannot pin down. From a distance, the alien general watches. At first, he is amused by the humans' evasion, seeing it as mere delaying tactics. But as his soldiers begin to fall, one by one, that amusement fades. The human's methods are confounding, unorthodox. He fights not with sheer strength but with intelligence, using the environment to his advantage, turning the alien's superior firepower into a disadvantage. Every move is calculated, every strike timed to perfection. The alien army, once a cohesive force, begins to fracture. Their overwhelming numbers mean little when they cannot bring them to bear. The human soldier uses guerrilla tactics, setting traps, drawing the enemy into ambushes. The alien forces find themselves fighting not just the soldier but their own impatience and confusion. They are trained for dominance through brute strength, and yet they are being undone by an enemy who refuses to meet them on their terms. Panic begins to spread among the ranks. The soldier's precision, his ability to remain calm and unshaken, unnerves them. They expect fear, chaos, but instead they are met with silence and methodical dismantling of their forces. The alien general, watching his army falter, is no longer amused. He orders more troops into the fray, but it only leads to more confusion as the human soldier continues to outmaneuver them at every turn. In the midst of this chaos, the alien soldiers begin to break. Their morale, once unassailable, crumbles as they realize they are not facing a simple opponent but a master strategist. The soldier does not need superior technology or physical strength. He uses their own expectations and arrogance against them. One by one, the towering alien soldiers fall, their advanced weaponry useless in the face of tactics they cannot understand. The battlefield, once filled with the deafening noise of alien war machines, grows quiet. Bodies of fallen soldiers litter the ground, their imposing forms now reduced to wreckage. The human soldier stands amidst the carnage, unscathed and unbowed. His victory is not one of raw power but of intelligence, adaptability, and an unwavering resolve. The alien general, who had begun this battle with such certainty, now stands in disbelief. His army, his pride, lies in ruins before him. He had underestimated the human, assumed that their lack of physical superiority meant they were weak. But now, faced with the stark reality of his defeat, the general sees the truth. It was not the human's weapons or size that won the day, it was his mind, his refusal to be cowed by overwhelming odds. As the dust settles, the human soldier remains the lone figure standing on the battlefield, the embodiment of resilience. The alien general, watching from a distance, can do nothing but accept the bitter truth: he has been bested not by force, but by a species whose strength lies in their unyielding spirit and ability to adapt in the face of impossible odds. The alien general, seething with fury, could hardly believe what had transpired. His once invincible army lay in ruins, dismantled by a single human. The general's mind raced, trying to make sense of the defeat. How could one insignificant soldier have undone his entire force? He had been so confident, so sure of the superiority of his species. And yet here he was, his army decimated, his reputation shattered. His anger turned inward, and he sought someone to blame, anyone but himself. Staring at the human soldier standing alone in the wreckage of the battlefield, the general felt his humiliation deepen. Desperate to reclaim some semblance of honor, he stepped forward, his voice thick with accusation. He berated the soldier, calling him a coward who had relied on trickery and deceit. The general's voice boomed across the desolate arena, but the human remained unmoved. The alien's words, filled with venom, seemed to fall on deaf ears. The soldier, calm and composed as ever, did not respond. In a final attempt to restore his pride, the general issued a challenge. He demanded a one-on-one fight, convinced that, in personal combat, his superior strength would crush the human once and for all. His challenge hung in the air, heavy with desperation. The crowd of alien spectators, once filled with cheers and anticipation, now watched in uneasy silence. The human soldier met the general's gaze but did not raise a weapon. He had no need to engage in further combat. The battle was already over, not just physically, but mentally. The general's fury, his blind rage, only highlighted the contrast between the two figures. The alien was lost in his anger, while the human radiated control and purpose. With every second that passed, the general's rage grew. He could not comprehend the human's refusal to fight. The absence of violence, the lack of a final confrontation, was more humiliating than defeat itself. He had relied on brute force his entire life, and now it had failed him utterly. His body, capable of immense destruction, now felt useless. The human's calmness was an affront to everything the general stood for, and yet it was in that calmness that the general saw the truth. The soldier had already won, not by overpowering him, but by rendering his power irrelevant. The human soldier broke the silence, his voice steady and measured. Without condescension, he explained the nature of humanity's strength. It wasn't found in physical might or advanced technology, but in their ability to adapt, to think, and to endure against overwhelming odds. The human did not speak to belittle the general, but his words carried the weight of reality. The general had placed all his faith in strength, but that very faith had been his downfall. His army, bred for conquest, had been outmaneuvered by a lone soldier who relied on intelligence over brawn. As the human soldier turned to leave, the general stood frozen in place. His once proud stance had withered, and the realization of his failure settled in like a heavy weight. He had lost more than just a battle. He had been forced to confront the limits of his understanding. The destruction of his army was not simply a defeat, but a reflection of his arrogance. The crowd, once roaring with anticipation for an easy victory, had fallen silent. The myth of human cowardice had been shattered before their eyes, replaced with a new understanding of what humanity truly represented. The human soldier's departure from the battlefield sent a clear message, not just to the general, but to the entire galaxy. Humanity did not need to rely on displays of aggression or dominance to prove its strength. In fact, it was their restraint, their refusal to be drawn into pointless confrontation, that demonstrated their true power. One human soldier had faced an entire army and emerged victorious, not through force, but through a mastery of tactics and an unyielding spirit. The general, once a towering symbol of alien supremacy, was now reduced to a broken figure. The humiliation he felt was not just the loss of a fight, but the loss of his perceived invincibility. His arrogance had led him to underestimate the human soldier, and now the consequences of that misjudgment were laid bare for all to see. The galaxy, watching this spectacle unfold, saw the stark difference between a species that relied on brute strength and one that thrived on adaptability and resilience. In the aftermath of the battle, whispers began to spread across alien factions. The story of the human soldier's victory resonated far beyond the battlefield. Those who had once mocked humanity as weak or insignificant now reconsidered their views. The galaxy had changed, and the implications were profound. Underestimating humans was now seen as a critical error, one that could cost entire civilizations dearly. The general, now standing alone amidst the wreckage of his army, was forced to accept the new reality. His challenge had backfired in the most spectacular way possible. What was meant to be a demonstration of his species' superiority had become a testament to humanity's intelligence and perseverance. The once invincible general had been undone not by an army, but by a single soldier who refused to be defined by conventional expectations of power. As the dust of the battlefield settled, the lesson was clear. Humanity's strength lay not in physical dominance, but in their unity, their ability to adapt, and their unshakable will. The galaxy, forever altered by this battle, now viewed humanity with a new respect. Their victory was more than a military triumph, it was a declaration of who they were and what they stood for. And in the end, it wasn't just the alien general who had been humbled, it was the entire galaxy that had learned to regard humanity as a force to be reckoned with.